It's always exciting and new as it happens. There's always new faces and new talent. There's always wonderful young talent coming up in this business.
Before his final days away from the spotlight, Robert Duvall sat down for one last interview that quickly caught Hollywood's attention. What was expected to be a reflective conversation about his long career soon took a sharp turn when the topic of Robert Redford came up. Without holding back, Duvall shared thoughts that many did not expect to hear so openly, especially at that stage of his life. So what exactly did Duvall say, and why did it surface so strongly in his final interview? Join us as we break down the full story behind those shocking final remarks. Duvall's early rise. Robert Duvall was born on January 5, 1931, in San Diego, California, into a military family. His father was a U.S. Navy admiral, and this meant Duvall spent parts of his childhood moving between places and living under strict discipline. Even though he was born in California, much of his upbringing was shaped by the American South, especially Virginia. That Southern influence would later show in his acting, where he often played grounded, realistic characters with a strong sense of place. As a young man, Duvall attended military school, which played a big role in shaping his personality. The structure, rules, and expectations of discipline stayed with him for life. He became someone who valued focus, hard work, and staying serious about his craft. These qualities would later set him apart in Hollywood, where not every actor approaches the job with the same level of commitment. After leaving the military path behind, Duvall decided to study acting. He moved to New York and trained at the neighborhood Playhouse School of the Theater. This was a key moment in his life. There, he studied under respected teacher Sanford Meisner and trained alongside future stars like Dustin Hoffman and Gene Hackman. The three were not famous yet. They were just young men trying to make it in a tough industry, often struggling to find steady work. Duvall's early career was not easy. He worked in theater and took small roles in television, trying to build experience. At times, he even took odd jobs to support himself. Success did not come quickly, but he stayed patient and kept improving his skills. This period helped him develop the quiet intensity he later became known for. His breakthrough came in 1962 when he was cast as Boo Radley in To Kill a Mockingbird. It was a small role with very little dialogue, but Duvall made a strong impression. Even without many lines, his presence stood out. It showed that he could communicate emotion in a subtle and powerful way. From there, his career slowly gained momentum. By the 1970s, Duvall had become one of the most respected actors in Hollywood. His role as Tom Hagen in The Godfather introduced him to a wider audience. He brought calm strength and intelligence to the character, making him unforgettable. Later, in Apocalypse Now, he delivered one of his most iconic performances as Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore. His performance was bold, controlled, and deeply memorable. Over time, Duvall built a reputation as an actor who takes his work very seriously. He is known for being private and not chasing attention. Instead, he focuses on the role and the story. Directors and co-stars often describe him as intense but professional. He prepares carefully, stays focused, and brings honesty to every character he plays. This dedication to his craft helped him stand out in an industry full of competition, and it also set the stage for the tension that would later emerge when strong personalities began to clash. Redford's Hollywood breakout. Robert Redford was born on August 18, 1936, in Santa Monica, California. He grew up in a middle-class household in Los Angeles, where life was stable but not especially glamorous. His father worked as an accountant, and his mother supported his early interests. As a child, Redford was not very focused on school. He enjoyed sports and social life more than academics, and he did not show clear direction early on. As he grew older, that lack of focus turned into rebellion. Redford attended the University of Colorado, but struggled to stay disciplined. His time there ended after he was expelled due to heavy drinking and lack of commitment. This period of his life could have set him back permanently, but instead it pushed him to rethink his future. He decided to travel to Europe, where he spent time in places like France and Italy. During this trip, he explored painting and began to take art seriously. This experience opened his mind and helped him discover a deeper interest in creative work. When Redford returned to the United States, he chose to pursue acting. He enrolled at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York and later trained further to sharpen his skills. Acting gave him a clear path, and for the first time, he committed himself fully. He started working in theater and slowly built a name for himself on Broadway. These early-stage roles helped him gain confidence and experience, preparing him for bigger opportunities. Redford's big break came in 1969 with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Starring alongside Paul Newman, Redford played the Sundance Kid, a calm and skilled outlaw. The film was a major success, and Redford quickly became a star. Audiences were drawn to his natural charm, good looks, and quiet confidence. This role helped establish what many called his golden boy image in Hollywood. Throughout the 1970s, Redford's career continued to rise. He starred in a series of successful and well-known films. In The Sting, he reunited with Paul Newman, and the film became a huge hit. Then, in All the President's Men, he played journalist Bob Woodward, showing a more serious and focused side of his acting. This role proved that he was not just a charming leading man, but also a capable and thoughtful performer. As his success grew, Redford began to show interest in more than just acting. He wanted creative control and started getting involved behind the scenes. He began producing films and thinking about directing. These early steps showed his ambition to shape stories, not just perform in them. This drive would later lead him to create projects on his own terms and build influence in the industry. By the end of the 1970s, Redford was not only a major star but also someone with growing power in Hollywood. He had talent, confidence, and a clear vision for his career. But with that rise also came a stronger personality, and not everyone found it easy to work with him. And as his control grew, it quietly set the stage for conflicts that were still to come. Redford's hidden control. As Robert Redford became one of the biggest stars in Hollywood, he also began to take more control over the projects he worked on. In the early years, he was mainly focused on acting, but by the mid-1970s, his roles started to change. He was no longer just a performer following direction. He began choosing scripts more carefully, shaping stories, and getting involved in decisions that affected the final film. This shift gave him more power, but it also changed how others saw him on set. One of the biggest steps in this direction was his decision to support independent filmmaking. In 1981, he founded the Sundance Institute. His goal was to give new filmmakers a space to develop their ideas outside the traditional studio system. Over time, this led to the creation of the Sundance Film Festival, which became one of the most important platforms for independent cinema. This move showed a different side of Redford. He was not only focused on his own career, but also wanted to influence the future of film. However, it also strengthened his position as someone with strong opinions and a clear vision. As his control grew, so did stories about his behavior behind the scenes. Some people who worked with him described him as highly focused and serious. Others felt he could be difficult. These differences often came down to how people viewed his working style. Some saw it as perfectionism. He wanted scenes done a certain way and expected high standards from everyone involved. Others saw it as ego, believing he pushed too hard to get his way. There were also reports of creative clashes with co-stars and directors. When strong personalities come together on a film set, disagreements are not unusual. In Redford's case, these disagreements sometimes became more noticeable because of his influence. If he disagreed with a director or another actor, it could affect the direction of the project. Some collaborators respected his commitment, while others found it challenging to work under that level of control. This created a gap between Redford's public image and his private reputation. On screen and in interviews, he came across as calm, thoughtful, and principled. He often spoke about meaningful storytelling and social issues. To many fans, he represented integrity and intelligence. But behind the scenes, the picture was sometimes more complicated. Stories from crew members and fellow actors suggested that he could be competitive and firm in his views. Several collaborators hinted at this side of him over the years. They described moments where Redford insisted on certain creative choices or pushed back strongly against ideas he disagreed with. While this helped him protect his vision, it also led to tension. Not everyone was comfortable working in that kind of environment, especially actors who had their own strong approaches to their roles. It is important to note that not all experiences were negative. Many people admired his dedication and respected his leadership. But the mixed opinions helped build a reputation that followed him through his career. He was seen as talented and driven, but also as someone who liked to stay in control. As his influence continued to grow, it became clear that working with him could be both rewarding and challenging, and soon that tension would lead to a clash that neither side would forget. Collision course begins. By the time Robert Duvall and Robert Redford were moving in the same Hollywood circles, both men had already built powerful reputations, but they had done it in very different ways. This difference in how they approached their work is one of the biggest reasons people later pointed to when discussing the tension between them. Duvall was known for complete immersion in his roles. He was the kind of actor who focused deeply on the inner life of a character. For him, every line, pause, and expression had to feel honest. He was less interested in image and more interested in truth. Whether the role was large or small, Duvall approached it with the same seriousness. He cared about the character first and often kept himself private outside of the work. Redford, on the other hand, had a more controlled and broader approach to filmmaking. While he was also a strong actor, he often looked at the bigger picture of the project. He thought not only about his own performance, but also about the story, the film's message, and how it would be received. As his career grew, he became more involved in production decisions, script choices, and even the overall tone of the film. This gave him a level of authority that many actors did not have. These contrasting philosophies naturally created the possibility of conflict. Duvall's focus was inward and role-driven, while Redford's approach was more outward and project-driven. One cared deeply about living the part, the other often wanted control over how the entire film came together. Their temperaments also added to this divide. Duvall was known for quiet intensity. He was not loud in public and did not chase attention. He often let his work speak for itself. People who worked with him frequently described him as serious, private, and deeply focused. Redford, by contrast, carried a more assertive presence. As one of Hollywood's leading men, he had become used to being at the center of projects. His confidence and leadership often made him the dominant voice in creative discussions. While some admired this, others felt it could come across as forceful. The industry also positioned them differently. Redford was a star in the classic sense, a major leading man with box office power and growing influence behind the scenes. He had the ability to attract financing, shape projects, and bring prestige to a film. Duvall's reputation was different but equally respected. He was known as an actor's actor, someone valued for depth and performance rather than star image. He often played supporting or character-driven roles that left a lasting impression, sometimes even more than the lead. Even before they formally worked together, there were likely indirect tensions through shared Hollywood circles. Both men knew many of the same directors, producers, and actors. In an industry built on reputation, stories about personality and working style travel quickly. It is very possible that each had already heard things about the other long before stepping onto the same set. The casting dynamics leading up to their collaboration only made things more sensitive. When two respected actors with strong creative identities are placed in the same project, questions of screen presence, influence, and control can quickly become important. And once they finally came together, those differences were no longer just rumors. They were about to become very real. The Natural, 1984. The Natural became the moment where the paths of Robert Redford and Robert Duvall finally crossed in a meaningful way. The film, based on a novel by Bernard Malamud, tells the story of Roy Hobbs, a gifted baseball player whose career is shaped by both talent and personal struggle. It was a major production with high expectations, combining sports, drama, and strong character work. From the start, Redford was at the center of the project. He played Roy Hobbs and was clearly the main focus of the film. By this point in his career, Redford had enough influence to shape key aspects of the production. He had a strong say in how the story was told, how his character was presented, and what tone the film should carry. This level of involvement made him more than just the lead actor. He became a driving force behind the entire project. Duvall entered the film with a different position. He played Max Mercy, a sports writer who observes and comments on Roy Hobbs's journey. While it was not the lead role, it was still important. Duvall likely saw it as a chance to add depth to the story through a sharp and thoughtful performance. As always, he approached the role seriously, focusing on making the character feel real and meaningful. However, the difference in their positions on the film began to show early. Redford's control over the project meant that his vision often guided decisions. Duvall, who valued character depth and subtle storytelling, may have had his own ideas about how scenes should be played. This created a space where creative disagreements could grow. Reports from the production suggest that the atmosphere on set was not always smooth. There were differences in how the actors viewed the tone of the film. Redford seemed focused on creating an inspiring and polished story, while Duvall leaned toward a more grounded and realistic approach. These differences may sound small, but on a film set, they can affect how scenes are performed and how characters interact. There was also reported friction over script interpretation. Duvall was known for wanting to fully understand his character's purpose and motivations. If something in the script did not feel right to him, he would question it. Redford, with his broader control, may have preferred to keep the story aligned with his vision. This difference in approach could lead to tension, especially when both actors felt strongly about their choices. The director, Barry Levinson, played an important role in managing these dynamics. As the leader of the film, he had to balance different personalities and keep the production moving forward. However, when a lead actor has strong influence, it can sometimes make that balance harder to maintain. The director's ability to guide the project while handling these creative differences was tested throughout the filming process. Despite these challenges, the film was completed and released to positive attention. But behind the finished product, the experience had clearly been complicated. The combination of strong personalities, different acting styles, and questions of control made this project a turning point. And once filming ended, the real story of what happened between them was only just beginning to surface. Set tension exposed. The Natural marked a key moment in the careers of Robert Redford and Robert Duvall, bringing two very different personalities onto the same set. The film, based on a novel by Bernard Malamud, tells the story of Roy Hobbs, a talented baseball player whose life is shaped by both promise and setbacks. It was designed as a major Hollywood production with a mix of sports drama and emotional storytelling, aiming to appeal to a wide audience. From the beginning, Redford was the clear center of the film. He played Roy Hobbs, the main character, and the entire story revolved around his journey. By this stage in his career, Redford had built enough influence to play a major role behind the scenes as well. He was deeply involved in decisions about the script, the tone, and the direction of the film. His goal was to create a strong, uplifting story that would connect with audiences, and he worked closely with the team to make sure that vision stayed intact. Duvall joined the project in a supporting but meaningful role as Max Mercy, a sports journalist who observes and comments on Roy Hobbs's rise. Even though it was not the lead role, Duvall approached it with the same seriousness he brought to all his work. He likely saw the character as an opportunity to add depth and perspective to the story. His expectation was to build a role that felt real and layered, even within a film centered on another character. As filming began, differences in their approaches started to appear. The atmosphere on set was professional, but there were clear creative disagreements. Redford leaned toward a more polished and emotionally uplifting tone, while Duvall often preferred a grounded and realistic style. These differences affected how certain scenes were performed and how characters were presented. There were also reports of friction when it came to interpreting the script. Duvall was known for questioning details and wanting every part of his character to make sense. If he felt something could be improved or made more believable, he would speak up. Redford, with his strong influence over the project, was focused on keeping the story aligned with his vision. When these two approaches met, it sometimes led to tension. The way each actor viewed character portrayal added another layer to this situation. Duvall wanted his role to feel natural and subtle, even if that meant going against the tone of the film at times. Redford, as both the lead and a guiding force behind the scenes, needed consistency in how the story was told. These different priorities made collaboration more difficult than expected. The director, Barry Levinson, had the task of managing these strong personalities while keeping the production on track. As the person responsible for the final film, he needed to balance creative ideas and maintain order on set. However, when a lead actor has significant influence, it can make that balance harder to achieve. Levinson had to navigate these challenges carefully, making sure the film stayed cohesive while handling disagreements between key actors. In the end, the film was completed successfully, but the process behind it was not without tension. The combination of strong opinions, different acting styles, and questions of control made this project a turning point in their professional relationship. Even though the film was completed successfully, the experience left its mark. The clash did not explode into a public conflict, but it shaped how both actors viewed the project and each other moving forward. Diverging paths. After working together on The Natural, the careers of Robert Duvall and Robert Redford moved in clearly different directions. While both remained successful, their choices showed how differently they viewed their work and their place in the film industry. Duvall continued to focus on strong, character-driven roles. He was not interested in chasing fame or staying in the spotlight. Instead, he chose parts that allowed him to explore real people with depth and honesty. One of his most important films from this period was Tender Mercies, where he played a broken country singer trying to rebuild his life. His performance was quiet, emotional, and deeply human, earning him an Academy Award for Best Actor. This role showed exactly what Duvall did best. He could take a simple story and make it feel powerful through careful, honest acting. In the years that followed, Duvall kept working in a wide range of films. He appeared in dramas, westerns, and even television projects, always bringing a serious and thoughtful approach. He often chose roles that others might overlook, but he made them memorable. His reputation grew as an actor who could fully disappear into a character no matter the size of the role. He stayed private, rarely seeking attention outside of his work, and focused on maintaining the quality of his performances. Redford, on the other hand, began to shift more of his attention toward directing and producing. While he continued acting, he clearly wanted more control over the stories being told. One of his most important achievements during this time was directing Ordinary People. The film was a major success and won the Academy Award for Best Picture, while Redford himself won Best Director. This marked a turning point in his career, proving that he could succeed behind the camera as well as in front of it. As the years went on, Redford became more involved in shaping the film industry itself. Through his work with the Sundance Institute, he supported independent filmmakers and helped create new opportunities for fresh voices. This gave him a different kind of influence compared to Duvall. While Duvall focused on individual performances, Redford focused on building systems and platforms that affected many people in the industry. Their public presence also reflected these differences. Duvall remained low-key and selective, often staying out of major public discussions. Redford, by contrast, was more visible. He spoke about social issues, supported creative projects, and stayed active in industry conversations. This made him not just a film star, but also a public figure with a wider voice. Over time, their reputations became very clear. Duvall was seen as one of the finest actors of his generation, respected for his dedication and skill. Redford was seen as both a major star and a powerful figure behind the scenes, someone who could shape the direction of film as a whole. Their paths may have started to split after that shared project, but the contrast between them only became stronger with time. And as their careers moved further apart, the question remained, would they ever cross paths again or stay distant for good? Final years apart. In their later years, both Robert Duvall and Robert Redford slowed down, but neither of them fully stepped away from the world of film. Their careers did not end suddenly. Instead, they moved into a quieter phase, choosing projects more carefully and appearing less often in public. Duvall continued acting well into his later life. Even as he aged, he remained committed to strong, character-driven roles. He appeared in films like The Judge, where he played a tough and aging father opposite Robert Downey Jr. His performance earned him critical praise and showed that his skills had not faded. Duvall preferred to stay out of the spotlight when he was not working. He lived a private life and rarely gave interviews unless it was connected to a project. Redford also stayed active, but his focus remained split between acting, directing, and supporting film initiatives. One of his later acting roles came in The Old Man and The Gun, which he described as his final performance as an actor. Around the same time, he continued to support independent filmmakers through the Sundance Institute. His presence in public remained stronger than Duvall's, especially because of his involvement in film culture and events. As they grew older, both men naturally faced the effects of aging. They appeared less frequently on screen and attended fewer public events. This was not unusual. Many actors of their generation chose to step back rather than remain constantly active. There were occasional concerns from fans about their health, especially when long periods passed without public appearances. However, most of these concerns were based on speculation rather than confirmed issues. Because they never worked together again after The Natural, there was never a public reconciliation between them. Neither actor openly discussed any major conflict in detail, and neither made strong public statements about the other in later years. This silence has left many questions unanswered. It is not clear whether their differences were personal, professional, or simply the result of two strong personalities not aligning. Duvall remains respected as a master of performance, while Redford is known both for his acting and his influence behind the scenes. Even without direct reconciliation, both maintained dignity in how they handled their public lives. And that's the story of two powerful careers that crossed paths, clashed quietly, and then moved in completely different directions. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more Hollywood stories you won't hear everywhere. See you in the next one.